Welcome back to Informative Zone, the place where we talk honestly about health, aging, and what really works for your body after 70. Let me ask you something important right now. When you wake up in the morning, before your feet even touch the floor, do you already feel pain? Do your joints ache, your back feel tight, your hands stiff, or your knees feel like they need oil just to move? If that sounds familiar, stay with me, because today's message could change how your mornings feel for the rest of your life. What if I told you that one simple morning drink, made from ordinary foods you can find at any grocery store in America, can dramatically reduce inflammation and pain after 70? Not next year, not after surgery, not after another prescription, but starting in as little as 2 weeks. I know that sounds unbelievable, especially if you've tried everything already. Pills, creams, injections, physical therapy, and still you wake up sore and stiff. But what I am about to share is not a trend, not a miracle cure, and not guesswork. It is based on real science and real results in older adults, people just like you, who were told pain was simply part of aging. The truth is, much of that pain is not age itself. It is inflammation. And the most powerful time to control inflammation is the morning. Let me explain why this matters so much after 70. As we age, our bodies naturally produce more inflammatory signals. This process is sometimes called inflammaging, and it affects nearly every system in the body. Joints swell more easily. Muscles recover more slowly. Nerves become more sensitive. Even the brain can feel foggy or tired because of chronic low-grade inflammation. What most people do not realize is that the first thing you consume in the morning sets the tone for inflammation for the entire day. Your body is especially sensitive in the early hours after waking. Hormones are shifting. Blood sugar is rising, and inflammatory markers are naturally higher. If you start the day with the wrong foods or drinks, you amplify pain before the day even begins. Sugary breakfast, refined grains, processed meats, and even large amounts of fruit juice can spike blood sugar and trigger inflammatory pathways. That is why so many people feel stiff, sore, and sluggish all morning long. But when you give your body the right nutrients first thing in the morning, you can calm those inflammatory signals instead of feeding them. That is where this morning drink comes in. Before I tell you exactly what it is, let me paint a picture that may feel very personal. You wake up early, not because you want to, but because your hips ache when you lie still too long. You slowly sit up, bracing yourself because you know standing will hurt. Your knees complain, your lower back feels tight, and your hands do not want to close properly. You shuffle to the kitchen, already tired, already frustrated. This has become normal, and that is the problem. Pain has been normalized after 70, but it should not be. According to the Arthritis Foundation, tens of millions of older Americans live with chronic joint pain, and many believe nothing can be done except medication. Yet research has shown again and again that inflammation is strongly influenced by diet, especially at breakfast. A long-term study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology followed thousands of adults for years and found that those who consumed more anti-inflammatory foods had dramatically lower rates of chronic disease and overall mortality. This was not about extreme dieting or supplements. It was about consistent daily choices. And breakfast was a key factor. The drink I am talking about today is not exotic, expensive, or complicated. It is a warm, soothing drink that works with your body's natural healing systems instead of fighting them. It is often called golden milk, and it has been used for centuries, long before modern medicine existed. But modern science has now confirmed what traditional cultures already knew. The main ingredient in this drink is turmeric, a deep golden spice that contains a powerful compound called curcumin. Curcumin has been studied extensively for its anti-inflammatory properties. In fact, it has been shown to block a major inflammatory pathway in the body known as NF-kappa B. This pathway acts like a master switch for inflammation, turning on genes that produce pain and swelling. When curcumin blocks this switch, inflammation is reduced at the cellular level. That is not symptom relief. That is addressing the root cause. A study published in the Journal of Medicinal Food looked at adults with knee osteoarthritis, many of them in their 60s and 70s. After several weeks of consuming curcumin, participants reported significant reductions in pain and stiffness, comparable to common anti-inflammatory medications, but without the side effects. Some were even able to reduce their reliance on pain pills. This matters because long-term use of anti-inflammatory drugs can damage the stomach, kidneys, and heart, especially in older adults. Golden milk offers a gentler, safer option, but here is the key detail many people miss. Turmeric alone is not enough. Curcumin is not easily absorbed by the body unless it is combined with two important things. The first is black pepper. Black pepper contains piperine, which can increase curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. The second is fat. Curcumin is fat-soluble, meaning it needs fat to be properly absorbed. That is why golden milk works so well. The milk provides the fat, and the black pepper unlocks curcumin's full power. Making this drink correctly is essential. You start with 1 cup of milk. This can be regular dairy milk or an unsweetened non-dairy option like almond or oat milk, depending on what your body tolerates best. Gently warm the milk on the stove. Do not boil it. Add 1 teaspoon of ground turmeric, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and if you like, a small amount of cinnamon and fresh ginger. Both cinnamon and ginger have their own anti-inflammatory benefits and support digestion. Warm the mixture gently for a few minutes, stirring slowly. Then add a small amount of honey or maple syrup for taste. This is not meant to be sugary, just enough to make it pleasant. Drink this warm, preferably on an empty stomach, within an hour of waking up. This is when your body is most receptive. Many people report feeling less stiffness within days, but the real changes often appear after 1 to 2 weeks of daily use. Morning pain begins to fade. Movement feels easier. Energy improves. But consistency is critical. This is not a one-time fix. It is a daily practice, like brushing your teeth. The reason this drink is especially powerful after 70 is because it supports the body without overwhelming it. Older bodies do not respond well to extremes. They respond to gentle, steady support. Golden milk does exactly that. It calms inflammation without stressing the liver, kidneys, or digestive system. It also provides a comforting ritual, something warm and grounding to start the day. That may sound simple, but routines matter deeply as we age. They signal safety and stability to the nervous system, which itself plays a role in inflammation and pain. Another important point to understand is timing. Inflammation follows a daily rhythm. Levels are often highest in the morning, which is why stiffness is worse when you wake up. Drinking golden milk early allows you to interrupt that inflammatory spike before it fully takes hold. Waiting until later in the day reduces its effectiveness. This is why this is a morning drink, not an afternoon supplement. Now, I want to be very clear. This is not about replacing medical care or ignoring serious conditions. It is about supporting your body in a way that modern lifestyles often neglect. Many doctors agree that diet plays a major role in inflammation, but few have the time to explain how to apply that knowledge practically. That is what we do here at Informative Zone. We translate science into daily habits that real people can actually follow. If you are listening right now and thinking this sounds too simple to matter, I understand. Simplicity is often dismissed, but the most powerful changes are often the simplest ones, done consistently. Think about how long inflammation has been building in your body. Years, maybe decades. It makes sense that calming it takes time and patience. This drink is not a quick fix. It is a foundation. And once that foundation is in place, other improvements become easier. In the next part, we will build on this foundation by adding foods that actively resolve inflammation, not just reduce it. And we will talk about how combining these elements creates a powerful effect that no single food can achieve alone. For now, remember this. Pain after 70 is not inevitable. Inflammation is not your destiny. And healing does not always come from a prescription bottle. Sometimes it begins with a warm cup in your hands, taken quietly in the morning, giving your body what it has been asking for all along. Continuing here on Informative Zone, now that you understand why inflammation is a real driver behind so much pain after 70 and how the morning sets the tone for your entire day, it is time to go deeper. The golden milk drink you learn about is the foundation, but it does not work in isolation. Its power multiplies when it is paired with the right foods that actively resolve inflammation inside the body. This is where many people miss the full benefit. They add one healthy item but keep the rest of their breakfast the same, and then they wonder why results are limited. Healing after 70 requires cooperation, not contradiction. You cannot calm inflammation with one hand while fueling it with the other. The next critical element of this morning routine is omega-3 fatty acids. These fats are not just healthy. They are essential regulators of the immune system. To understand why omega-3s matter so much for pain and stiffness, you need to know what is happening inside your body right now. Your immune system uses fat-based signaling molecules to communicate. Some of these signals promote inflammation, while others turn it off. Omega-6 fats, which are abundant in processed foods, vegetable oils, and grain-fed meats, tend to push the body toward inflammation when consumed in excess. Omega-3 fats do the opposite. They are converted into compounds called resolvins and protectins. These compounds do something remarkable. They do not merely reduce inflammation. They actively signal that the inflammatory response is complete and can shut down. Think of inflammation like a fire alarm. Omega-6 fats keep the alarm ringing. Omega-3 fats tell the system that the fire is out. The problem is that the modern American diet is wildly imbalanced. Many people consume 15 to 20 times more omega-6 than omega-3. This imbalance creates a constant low-level inflammatory state, which becomes more damaging as we age. Joints swell more easily. Muscles ache longer. Nerves become irritated. Pain becomes the background noise of life. Adding omega-3 rich foods to your morning is one of the most effective ways to restore balance. This is not theory. This is supported by decades of research. A long-term study from Harvard Medical School followed nearly 20,000 adults for over a decade. Those with higher blood levels of omega-3 fatty acids had significantly lower rates of heart disease and lower overall mortality. Another study published in the Annals of the Rheumatic Diseases looked specifically at people with rheumatoid arthritis. Participants who increased their omega-3 intake experienced less morning stiffness and were able to reduce their use of anti-inflammatory medications. Morning stiffness is a key detail here. That is the pain that greets you when you wake up, the pain that makes standing up feel like a challenge. Omega-3 fats are especially effective at reducing this type of pain because they influence the inflammatory response that peaks overnight and into the early morning hours. So, how do you include omega-3s in a morning routine after 70? The most effective sources are fatty fish like wild-caught salmon, sardines, and mackerel. These fish provide EPA and DHA, the most biologically active forms of omega-3. A 3-ounce serving of wild-caught salmon is enough to make a meaningful difference. Many people think fish is only for dinner, but there is no rule that says breakfast must look a certain way. In fact, cultures around the world include fish in the morning, and they have done so for centuries. If the idea of fish for breakfast feels unfamiliar, start small. A piece of salmon alongside eggs or vegetables works well. Sardines on whole grain toast are another excellent option. They are inexpensive, convenient, and packed with nutrients. If you do not eat fish, plant-based options are still helpful. Walnuts and ground flaxseed provide ALA, a precursor to EPA and DHA. While the conversion rate is lower, consistent intake still supports inflammation control. 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed added to oatmeal or a smoothie is a simple and effective choice. A 1/4 cup of walnuts on the side of breakfast also works well. Preparation matters here too. For fish, frozen wild-caught options are often better than fresh because they are frozen at peak freshness. Simply thaw overnight in the refrigerator, season lightly, and bake for about 12 minutes. There is no need for heavy sauces or oils. Keep it simple. The goal is nourishment, not complexity. Now, let's talk about the next piece of the puzzle, something that is already familiar to most people but often underestimated. Berries. Blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, and raspberries may look small, but they are powerful modulators of inflammation. Their deep colors come from compounds called anthocyanins. These compounds directly influence inflammatory signaling in the body. They reduce the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines and increase anti-inflammatory ones. In simple terms, they help quiet the immune system when it is overreacting. This is especially important after 70, When the immune system tends to be more reactive and less precise, a large observational study from the Harvard School of Public Health followed over 90,000 women for nearly 2 decades. Those who consumed berries regularly had a significantly lower risk of heart attacks. Another study published in the Journal of Nutrition examined older adults with metabolic syndrome. After 8 weeks of daily blueberry consumption, participants showed reduced inflammatory markers, improved blood pressure, and better insulin sensitivity. These changes directly affect pain and mobility. When blood sugar is more stable and inflammation is lower, joints and muscles function better. What makes berries particularly effective in the morning is how they work together with omega-3s and turmeric. This is called a synergistic effect. Each food enhances the others. Curcumin blocks inflammatory pathways. Omega-3s resolve inflammation. Berries reduce inflammatory signals and oxidative stress. Together, they create a broader, more stable anti-inflammatory environment in the body. This is why combining these foods matters more than focusing on just one. Aim for 1 cup of berries each morning. Fresh or frozen both work. Frozen berries are often more affordable and just as nutritious. Add them to oatmeal, yogurt, or eat them on the side. There is no need to juice them. Whole berries provide fiber, which further supports gut health. The gut plays a major role in inflammation, especially as we age. A healthy gut lining prevents inflammatory compounds from entering the bloodstream. Fiber from berries feeds beneficial bacteria that help maintain this barrier. Now, I want to address something important. Many people after 70 eat very lightly in the morning or skip breakfast altogether because they are not hungry. Appetite changes with age, and that is normal. But skipping nourishment in the morning can worsen inflammation and pain. The body still needs signals to regulate inflammation, even if hunger cues are weaker. This does not mean you need a large meal. It means you need targeted nourishment. A warm drink, a small portion of protein and healthy fat, and some berries are often enough. Another common concern is digestion. Some people worry that adding these foods will upset their stomach. In most cases, the opposite happens. Reducing inflammatory foods and adding gentle, nutrient-dense options often improves digestion. Golden milk can soothe the stomach. Omega-3 fats support the gut lining. Berries provide fiber that supports regularity. However, it is important to listen to your body and introduce changes gradually if needed. Now, let us talk about why mornings are so powerful for change. Your body operates on rhythms. Hormones, immune activity, and digestion all follow daily cycles. Inflammation tends to be higher in the early morning hours, which is why pain feels worse when you wake up. By providing anti-inflammatory nutrients early, you interrupt this cycle. You do not just reduce pain for that morning. You influence how the body behaves for the rest of the day. This is why people who adopt anti-inflammatory morning routines often report better energy, improved mood, and less pain even in the evening. It is a ripple effect. At Informative Zone, we emphasize habits that work with the body, not against it. This morning approach does exactly that. It does not require extreme restriction or expensive supplements. It requires intention and consistency. You are sending your body a clear message first thing each day. The message is that it is safe, supported, and not under attack. Over time, the immune system responds by calming down. Pain decreases. Mobility improves. Confidence returns. In the next part, we will talk about another powerful morning element that many people overlook, green tea in its most potent form, and how it supports inflammation control without the side effects of excessive caffeine. We will also discuss nuts and minerals that quietly support joint health and nerve function. For now, focus on this. Start your day with golden milk. Add omega-3 rich foods. Include a cup of berries. Do this within an hour of waking. Give your body the tools it needs when it needs them most. Healing after 70 is not about doing more. It is about doing the right things at the right time, every day. Continuing now on Informative Zone, let's move into the next crucial layer of this morning routine, because this is where many people finally feel the difference between small improvement and real relief. You already understand how golden milk calms inflammation at the cellular level, how omega-3 fats actively resolve inflammatory signals, and how berries reduce inflammatory messengers while protecting your cells. Now, we're going to talk about a morning drink that quietly amplifies all of those effects without stressing your body, your heart, or your nervous system. This drink is green tea, and more specifically, matcha green tea. Before you dismiss this because you are a coffee drinker or think it sounds too mild to matter, stay with me. Green tea works very differently from coffee, and after 70, that difference becomes incredibly important. Coffee stimulates. Green tea regulates. As we age, our nervous systems become more sensitive. Strong stimulants can increase cortisol, raise blood pressure, irritate joints, and even worsen inflammation in some people. That does not mean coffee is bad for everyone, but it does mean it is not ideal for calming morning pain. Matcha green tea offers a gentler, more targeted approach. The key compound in green tea is called EGCG, short for epigallocatechin gallate. EGCG is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory antioxidants ever studied. Researchers have examined it for its effects on arthritis, cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, and even neuroinflammation. EGCG works by suppressing inflammatory enzymes and blocking the activation of inflammatory genes. In simple terms, it turns down the volume on inflammation. A study published in the journal Arthritis Research and Therapy showed that EGCG significantly reduced inflammatory damage in joint tissue. Other studies have found that people who regularly drink green tea have lower levels of C-reactive protein, one of the most widely used markers of inflammation in the blood. Lower CRP levels are associated with less pain, better mobility, and lower risk of chronic disease. What makes matcha especially effective is how it is consumed. With regular green tea, you steep the leaves and throw them away. You only get a portion of the beneficial compounds. With matcha, the leaves are ground into a fine powder, and you consume the entire leaf. That means you get far more EGCG and other supportive compounds in every cup. Matcha also contains an amino acid called L-theanine. This compound promotes a state of calm alertness. It smooths out the effects of caffeine and supports the nervous system. Instead of the jittery rush and crash that many people experience with coffee, matcha provides steady energy and mental clarity. This matters because stress and nervous system activation can directly worsen inflammation and pain. A calm nervous system supports healing. Including matcha in your morning routine is simple. 1 teaspoon of matcha powder whisked into hot water is enough. You can add a splash of milk if you like, and a small amount of honey if needed. Drink it alongside or shortly after your golden milk and breakfast. Some people worry about caffeine, but matcha contains less caffeine than coffee, and the presence of L-theanine changes how that caffeine affects the body. Most older adults find it easier on the heart and joints. Now, let's talk about another piece that seems small but has a powerful cumulative effect. Nuts. Almonds, walnuts, and pistachios are especially valuable after 70. Nuts provide a unique combination of nutrients that directly support inflammation control, nerve function, and joint health. They are rich in vitamin E, magnesium, healthy fats, and fiber. Vitamin E is a potent antioxidant that protects cells from inflammatory damage. Magnesium plays a key role in muscle relaxation, nerve signaling, and immune regulation. Many older adults are mildly deficient in magnesium, which can contribute to muscle cramps, stiffness, and heightened pain sensitivity. The fiber in nuts feeds beneficial gut bacteria, which produce compounds that reduce inflammation throughout the body. A large study published in the New England Journal of Medicine followed more than 100,000 adults over several decades. Those who consumed nuts regularly had significantly lower rates of death from heart disease, cancer, and respiratory disease. Chronic inflammation plays a role in all of these conditions. Another study focusing on older adults with metabolic syndrome found that daily almond consumption reduced inflammatory markers and improved blood sugar control. Stable blood sugar is critical for pain management. Blood sugar spikes increase inflammation and worsen joint pain. Nuts help slow digestion and prevent those spikes. Adding nuts to your morning does not require much. A quarter cup is enough. Sprinkle them over oatmeal, yogurt, or berries, or eat them on the side. Choose raw or lightly roasted nuts without added sugars or excessive salt. The goal is nourishment, not stimulation. When you combine matcha and nuts with the foods you already learned about, something important happens. You create a morning environment in your body that favors repair instead of irritation. Inflammation is no longer constantly triggered. The immune system receives signals to calm down. The nervous system feels supported instead of stressed. This is why people often report improvements not only in pain, but also in mood, focus, and sleep when they adopt this routine. Sleep is another important piece of this puzzle. Chronic inflammation disrupts sleep, and poor sleep increases inflammation. It becomes a vicious cycle. By calming inflammation in the morning, you help regulate cortisol and other hormones that influence sleep later that night. Many people are surprised to find they sleep better after improving their mornings. Now, let's talk about timing and combination, because this is where results are either amplified or weakened. Your body's inflammatory response follows a circadian rhythm. It is naturally higher in the early morning hours. This is why stiffness and pain peak when you wake up. Consuming anti-inflammatory foods and drinks within the first hour of waking allows you to intercept that spike. Waiting until mid-morning or lunchtime misses a window of greatest impact. This does not mean you need to rush or stress. It simply means being intentional. Wake up, hydrate, enjoy your golden milk, eat a modest anti-inflammatory breakfast, and drink your matcha. This can all be done calmly and comfortably. Another critical factor is consistency. Inflammation does not disappear overnight. It builds slowly and recedes slowly. Many people try something new for a few days, do not feel dramatic results, and give up. That is understandable, but it is also why so many never experience real change. Most people begin to notice subtle improvements within 1 to 2 weeks. Morning stiffness may last a little less time. Pain may feel less sharp. Energy may improve slightly. The more noticeable changes often appear around 6 to 8 weeks. That is when inflammatory markers in the body have had time to shift. That is when joints often feel more flexible, walking feels easier, and daily activities feel less taxing. It is important to approach this with patience and curiosity rather than expectation of a miracle. You are not forcing your body to change. You are allowing it to return to balance. That process takes time, especially after 70. Another important point is what you are not consuming. While adding anti-inflammatory foods is powerful, reducing inflammatory triggers makes their job easier. Highly processed breakfast foods, refined sugars, and excessive refined carbohydrates can undo much of the benefit. This does not mean perfection is required. It means awareness matters. If you pair golden milk and matcha with sugary pastries, you are sending mixed signals. Healing works best when signals are clear. At Informative Zone, we focus on clarity, not restriction. Give your body a clear message in the morning, and it will respond. Let us also address mindset. Pain changes how people see themselves. Many older adults begin to identify as someone who hurts, someone who cannot do what they used to do. This identity can become as limiting as the pain itself. Morning routines have psychological power. Starting the day with intention and care send a message to the brain that you are active in your own well-being. That sense of agency reduces stress, and lower stress means lower inflammation. This is not abstract. The brain and immune system are deeply connected. Calm confidence and routine support healing just as nutrients do. In the final part, we will bring everything together into a simple, repeatable morning protocol and talk about what realistic progress looks like over 60 days. We will also discuss why so many people give up too early and how to avoid that trap. For now, remember this. Healing after 70 is not about doing everything at once. It is about building a foundation, adding layers of support, and staying consistent long enough for your body to respond. You are not broken. Your body is responding to years of signals. Change the signals, especially in the morning, and you change the outcome as we come to the final part here on Informative Zone. This is where everything comes together and where clarity matters more than motivation. You now understand the role inflammation plays in pain after 70, why mornings are the most powerful time to intervene, and how specific foods and drinks work together to calm the body instead of irritating it. Now we're going to turn all of that knowledge into a simple, repeatable morning protocol, and more importantly, we are going to talk honestly about expectations, timelines, and why this approach works when so many others fail. Let us begin by stepping back and looking at the full picture. Chronic pain after 70 rarely comes from a single cause. It is a result of years of accumulated inflammatory signals, metabolic stress, hormonal changes, reduced muscle mass, and nervous system that has been on high alert for too long. That is why quick fixes do not work. That is why chasing one supplement or one pill often leads to disappointment. What you are doing with this morning routine is not chasing relief. You are creating conditions for healing. Conditions matter. The body is constantly responding to its environment. Food, timing, stress, and routine all send messages. For many years, most people have unknowingly sent messages that promote inflammation, especially in the morning. This protocol changes that conversation. Let us walk through a full morning in a practical way, because simplicity is what makes this sustainable. You wake up, before checking your phone or rushing into the day, you give yourself a few moments. This matters more than it sounds. Stress hormones spike quickly after waking, and rushing amplifies that response that a calm start supports the nervous system. Within the first hour of waking, you prepare your golden milk. 1 cup of milk, gently warmed. Turmeric, black pepper, optional cinnamon and ginger, and a small amount of natural sweetener, if needed. You drink it slowly, warm, letting it signal safety and support to your body. This alone begins to calm inflammatory pathways that are most active in the morning. Next comes nourishment. This does not need to be a large meal. It needs to be intentional. A source of omega-3 fats, either from wild-caught salmon, sardines, walnuts, or ground flaxseed. A cup of berries, fresh or frozen. A small handful of nuts. These foods work together. Omega-3s resolve inflammation. Berries reduce inflammatory signaling and oxidative stress. Nuts provide minerals and antioxidants that support nerves, muscles, and joints. You then add matcha green tea. 1 teaspoon whisked into hot water, perhaps with a splash of milk. This supports inflammation control without overstimulating your system. This entire routine can be done calmly in 20 to 30 minutes. There is no rushing, no complexity, just consistency. Now let us talk about what happens next, because this is where many people lose faith too early. In the first few days, you may not feel dramatic changes. That is normal. Inflammation that has been building for years does not disappear overnight. What many people notice first are subtle shifts. Perhaps morning stiffness eases a little faster. Perhaps energy feels steadier. Perhaps digestion improves. These are early signs that the body is responding. Around 1 to 2 weeks, changes often become more noticeable. Pain may still be present, but it may feel less sharp. Movement may feel easier. Mood may improve. These changes are not imagined. They reflect real shifts in inflammatory markers and nervous system tone. The 6 to 8 week mark is where many people experience meaningful improvement. This is when inflammatory pathways have had time to down-regulate. This is when joints often feel more flexible, walking feels less taxing, and daily activities require less effort. Some people report sleeping better. Others notice they rely less on pain medication. These outcomes are supported by research on diet and inflammation, but they require patience. The biggest mistake people make is stopping too soon. They expect a miracle in a few days and give up when it does not happen. Healing is not dramatic. It is gradual. But gradual does not mean weak. It means stable. Another mistake is inconsistency. Doing this routine some mornings and skipping at others sends mixed signals. The body thrives on rhythm. That is why doing this daily matters more than doing it perfectly. If one morning is less ideal, do not quit. Return to the routine the next day. Consistency over time is what changes the internal environment. Let us also address fear, because fear often hides behind pain. Many older adults fear movement because they associate with pain. This routine supports not only inflammation control, but confidence. When pain begins to ease, even slightly, people often feel more willing to move. Gentle movement further reduces inflammation. It becomes a positive cycle. This is not about forcing exercise. It is about making movement feel possible again. Another important point is individuality. Bodies differ. Some people respond faster than others. Some need more time. That does not mean this is not working. It means your body has its own pace. Comparing your progress to others is not helpful. What matters is direction. Are mornings slowly becoming easier? Is pain gradually less dominant? Those are signs of progress. It is also important to understand what this routine does not do. It does not eliminate all pain overnight. It does not reverse severe structural damage instantly. It does not replace medical care when needed. What it does do is reduce unnecessary inflammation, support natural healing mechanisms, and improve quality of life. For many people, that is life-changing. Let us talk briefly about mindset again, because it deserves emphasis. Pain shapes identity. Many people over 70 begin to see themselves as fragile or limited. This routine is an act of self-respect. It says, I am still worth care. I still influence my health. That belief matters. Research has shown that perceived control over health outcomes influences pain perception and immune response. When you feel helpless, inflammation rises. When you feel engaged, it calms. This is not about positive thinking. It is about biology responding to signals. One more thing that must be said clearly. This approach works best when it is not treated as a temporary fix. Think of it as your new normal. Just as brushing your teeth is non-negotiable, calming inflammation becomes part of daily life. Over time, many people find they crave these foods because their bodies recognize the benefit. Finally, let us address why breakfast matters more than any other meal for this purpose. Overnight, the body undergoes repair, but it also experiences fasting stress. Inflammatory markers rise. Blood sugar regulation is sensitive. The first nutrients you provide either stabilize or destabilize the system. Starting the day with anti-inflammatory inputs sets a tone that carries forward. This is why people often feel better all day when they fix mornings, even if other meals are not perfect. As we close, I want to speak directly to you. If you are over 70 and living with daily pain, you have likely been told that this is just how it is now. That belief is understandable, but it is not entirely true. While aging brings change, suffering is not mandatory. You have more influence than you have been led to believe. Food is not a cure-all, but it is powerful. Timing is not magic, but it matters. Consistency is not exciting, but it works. This morning drink and the foods that support it are not trends. They are tools. Tools you can use starting tomorrow morning. If you found value in this information, this is exactly what Informative Zone exists for. We are here to share strategies that respect the realities of aging while empowering you to live with less pain and more ease. In our upcoming videos, we will talk about evening meals that support overnight healing, simple habits that reduce joint stiffness during the day, and common foods that quietly fuel inflammation without people realizing it. Stay connected, stay curious, and most importantly, stay patient with your body. Healing after 70 is not about going backward. It is about moving forward with wisdom, intention, and care. Pain and inflammation do not have to define your mornings. Change begins with what you choose to drink, eat, and believe when you wake up.